Hi, welcome. Today I want to show you my favorite things of 2025. So I'm going to be talking about my favorite books, my favorite things, my favorite paintings, my favorite movies. Let's start with the books. What surprised me the most about my favorites list of this year is that most of the books that I picked as a favorite are non-fiction books. I selected my favorites by just going through the list of books that I read this year and seeing which books I loved most. The fiction books. The first one that I really enjoyed a lot is Beware of Pity by Stefan Zweig. I have an edition by Penguin Classics and it's translated by Jonathan Katz. This is a Penguin Modern Classics edition. I really enjoyed the translation. I had no remarks. I do not like the cover at all, but the book itself is phenomenal. It's a really great read and I highly recommend. You can find a review of this on my channel, so if you're interested, go and check it out. It is spoiler free. The next novel that I enjoyed very much and which was also a book club pick was The Bride of Lammermoor by Sir Walter Scott. This is an Oxford World Classic edition. I love the cover so much and not translated because Walter Scott wrote in English. The introduction here is by Fiona Robertson. It's not a beginner's book, it's not easy to read. There's a lot of dialect in here, and I also did a review on the channel should you be interested. This was the perfect gothic read, and I will certainly pick it up again. I will also be picking Beware of Pity up again because it was so good. But yes, I will certainly be rereading this one. The next one that I really very much enjoyed, also on Oxford World Classics, is The Red and the Black by Stendhal. It is set in 1830 France and is a very slow, character-driven novel. If you love French literature, then I highly recommend The Red and the Black. I also have a beautiful edition in French, Le Rouge et le Noir. Another one that I enjoyed tremendously was The Fall of Numenor by J.R.R. Tolkien, and I hadn't read it yet. I have read most of Tolkien's novels, but I hadn't read The Fall of Numenor yet. It was amazing. It's been a while since I read it because it was at the beginning of the year, I think in April. I think it was in April, and I just cannot wait to read it again. Okay, let's move on to the non-fiction books. The first ones that I thoroughly enjoyed were the Stephen Fry novels of the Greek mythology. I have been meaning to dive into Greek mythology for the longest time because I want to start reading Greek literature, and to understand things properly, I really wanted to learn about Greek mythology first. So I picked up the Stephen Fry novels. I've read 2 of the 4, Heroes and Mythos. Mythos is the first one, Heroes is the second one. And then we also have Troy and Odyssey. So yes, those are still waiting for me, but these were so good. If you're interested in learning more about the Greek mythology, then I highly recommend these. What I also love is that they come with colored paintings and artworks. So yes, these are just paperbacks because I couldn't find the hardcovers. I do have Odyssey in hardback, which I'm very grateful for, but unfortunately I couldn't find the other ones because they were all sold out. The next one I really enjoyed was The Letters of Vincent van Gogh, and this is an edition by Penguin Classics. I did talk about this for a moment in one of my reading vlogs. I liked reading his letters. He wrote very beautifully. Of course, he wrote them in Dutch, and I felt very silly forgetting myself in English translation if I could have read them in the original. I'm from Belgium, so next time I feel the urge to return to his letters, I will be able to read it in the original and maybe compare with the English translation. However, I've always been very content with the translations of Penguin Classics, Oxford World's Classics. They're all very good, but it will be nice to read them in the original one day. Another favorite was Wicked Company by Philip Blum. And this I bought by accident. I came across it in a secondhand store and I was very much intrigued by the premise. This book is about the 18th century French salons, and we have names like Diderot, Rousseau, Voltaire. They all came together and had discussions. I learned so much. And yes, it was one of my favorite reads of this year. The next one is a biography of Oscar Wilde by Richard Ellman. This is a second-hand edition that I found in a bookstore in Dublin, which is a really nice way to stumble upon a biography of Oscar Wilde. And let me take off the dust jacket. It is green underneath the dust jacket. I will link the video because I already talked about this on my channel. Highly recommend, it's really good. The next biography that I want to show you is the one of Leonardo da Vinci by Walter Isaacson. This was a great biography, and it also had colored images of the paintings of Leonardo da Vinci and of course of his artworks. I made a video about all the things I learned. I will link it as well. And then I have Astonishing Things, the drawings of Victor Hugo. This is a book about his artwork, and it also has a lot of information about the works and about Hugo's life. Again, I learned a lot, and this is an amazing book to have on the shelf. His artworks are so beautiful, and I am the very proud owner of this book. Alright, let's talk about my favorite movies. I don't watch a lot of movies or TV shows. I made a list of the ones that I watched that were new to me, so that I never watched before. And these were the ones that I liked most. So first of all, there was a new movie adaptation of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. And the movie is French, and it came out in 2024. So I watched it and I really enjoyed it. I saw 2 other adaptations, so my expectations weren't that high, but I must say that I generally really enjoyed it. The next one that I watched was A Beautiful Mind of 2001, which is an older movie, but a really beautiful one, based on a real person who was suffering from schizophrenia, and it was very realistic and very beautiful. The next one is a series, so I watched Poldark from 2015. The reason is because everyone kept saying, "You look so much like Demelza from Poldark." So I got a lot of comments about "you look like Demelza from Poldark" that I got curious. I looked it up, and it's set in the time period that I love most. So I went to the library and I got the DVDs, and I really enjoyed it. I also thoroughly enjoyed the music, and I have made a playlist of the music of Poldark. My favorite song of the album is Methel and Gwyn, because that song is so beautiful. Demelza sings it in one of the episodes. It goes like, "Memories like voices that call on the wind, Methel and Gwyn's, Methel and Gwyn's." It's very beautiful, and even if you didn't watch the show, you should really look it up. Then I also watched the final season of You, and I love this show. It got less good by the season, but I very much enjoyed it, and I will definitely rewatch it. And finally, the mini-series that left the biggest impression on me this year was Chernobyl of 2019. I think everyone should watch it because I didn't know anything about nuclear activity, about the consequences when it explodes, and about the event itself, actually, what actually happened. And so I'm very happy that I saw it. It was very educational and very gripping and dark. So, yes, that's one that also really stayed with me. Next, I want to talk about my favorite things, my favorite objects. Let me start with this beautiful tray. Of course, there are so many things that I got that I love this year, but I just made a tiny selection. This tray was from my grandmother, and I use it to display chocolates or treats or nuts or berries, anything I want. It is so cute and so beautiful. I not only use it when we have company, but I also use it for myself. Next, I got this at a flea market for a couple of euros. It was so cheap, and I love this design so much. I always stick in beeswax candles because I don't like paraffin. They say it's unhealthy, so I always use beeswax, and they smell really good. Next, I also got some books. So one in London. This is The Woodlanders by Thomas Hardy. It is beautiful and tiny, and I paid £22 for this. I came home and I immediately started reading it. It's a great novel, by the way. So yes, this tiny novel is one of my favorite book purchases. I also got these in Paris. This is La Reine Margot, the Queen Margot, by Alexandre Dumas. And these are the editions. They're so beautiful and a little bit damaged, but I don't really mind. I haven't read them yet, but I will get to them next year. I also got in Paris these beautiful Émile Zolas. Look at them, they're so beautiful. And this is The Money, L'Argent, and this is a part in the Rougon-Macquart series. I'm currently working my way through, but there are a lot of books in the series, and I think this one is next. Okay, the next thing that I want to show you, this was a gift from someone who didn't want it anymore, but this is an oil lamp, and it is so beautiful because it has these details here and in the material as well. I think it's just a stunning design, and yes, I really love oil lamps. The thing is, I don't use them. First of all, I've heard somewhere that it would be unhealthy. I don't know. And secondly, I would be too afraid, I think, with the cats. But, I don't mind it being just decoration. Finally, I want to show you what I got this weekend. It is tea. And I know it sounds like madness to have this as one of my favorite purchases of this year. But first of all, purchases come with experiences. You go someplace, you go into the store, you have the experience of the store, you have the experience of the people who are with you. And so the story of this tea is, I went to the Christmas market in Brussels, and I went into a gallery to buy chocolate, and I got myself some chocolate. So I went in for chocolate, and I got my chocolate, but I also saw they were selling tea, and I never in my life saw such beautiful packaging. Like, look at this. And it has this old vintage Victorian design. I really love it. It is also all of the teas have a special name. Like this one is Tea at the Opera, it says so in French. And this is a green tea with red fruits and vanilla. It's a Parisian brand, and it has been around since the 17th century. And I started smelling the teas in the shop, and I selected this one to try at home. For me, the package is part of the experience, and when there goes a lot of care into the packaging, I immediately feel like there has gone a lot of attention to the product itself as well. Beautiful things make me so happy. And I know this is just a tin of tea, but it stands on my counter and it's so beautiful, and I can use it, open it, and smell it, and it's so beautiful and it makes me happy. Anyway, those were, I think, my favorite objects. I also want to show you two paintings that are on my wall that I got on a flea market and that I really love. Those were such great finds. So the one is in the hallway, so I look at it every time I go up the stairs to the bathroom or the bedroom, and the other one is hanging in my bedroom right next to me. Those were my favorite objects of this year. My kitty Dea also arrived this year. She arrived in June, and of course she is my favorite memory of this year. I would like to finish this video with my favorite paintings that I saw this year. One of my favorite things to do when I am visiting cities is to go to the Museum of Fine Arts. I love old paintings, and since I will probably be butchering the names of these painters, I'm just gonna do a slideshow. We're gonna end the video here, and you will see the names of the paintings and the painters underneath the painting. Enjoy, and thank you so much for watching.